I'm trying to get the live set up right for our guests, ladies. So I'm just trying to make sure everything is straight before re-inviting him on. I so appreciate his patience with me. Oh yes, I think we're good now. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is welcome our guest back on. Um, I was having some difficulties. I want to make sure it was showing up in the group. So I'm going to invite our guest, Mr. John Carter, back. If you're watching right now, please give permission for us to see your name. So when he's talking, if you have questions, you can come in and ask. And you're welcome to join the party also. Thank you for viewing today. If you would like to join the party and come on live, just let me know and I will send you an invite. If you want to come on, he's going to be talking about web design. Um, and who knows where the conversation may lead. All right, so I'm just going to send him the invite, get him back in. Thank you also for your patience if you were here before. Okay, here it is. Can you hear me pretty good? Give me a thumbs up in the comments so I can know. Y'all come on and be just looking and won't say anything. Oh my goodness, I need your help to know for sure if it's working, ladies. Okay, we're going to be welcoming John Carter. This is him. Mm-mm-mm. We'll give him a couple minutes to join us. We'll give him a couple minutes to join us. All right. While we're waiting on him to come on, I just want to welcome you all to this live today. It is a holiday, and I hope that you're celebrating, have a good time with your family and our friends, or just getting a chance to relax. Hopefully, you can hear me well. And today I will be sipping on some of the new friendship in our bridal tea. I have my kettle here ready. See? And I also have the water here. I'm going to go ahead and pour that up while we're waiting on Mr. John. I'm sure it won't take him too long, ladies. I wish I can have it where you can see the transformation, but I'm going to cover this for a little while for a couple minutes while we wait on him to rejoin. It should turn nice and blue. The guest is here. All right. Add to the tree. Hey, Mr. John.
Hey, how you doing?
I got it right now.
Yeah, we got it together. I was sitting up in while you were doing that. I was sitting up in here looking at StreamYard again, looking for an option to stream my stuff.
It is so cool. I love it so far. Um, it makes things look so nice. You could do so much with it. So,
Yeah,
and I'm doing the smallest package right now, but I love it
yeah.
so much. I'm thinking of going bigger on it at some point.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that, and this is something that I've learned is that it's you don't. There's so many ways to do whatever it is that you're doing. a lot of times you end up going either trial and error or a word of mouth advertising, because I know off the top of my head it's like maybe a half dozen resources to do the same type of stuff. But a lot of times you end up going into, if you don't have a frame of reference, you really go back to who knows, who someone that knows what software will suit your needs. So word of mouth advertising still rules.
It really does. It's almost the best way to get everything out, right?
Yeah, yeah. But if you don't know, you go. What you do? You go ask somebody every day.
Yes. So
That hasn't
giving
changed.
giving perfection at every ounce of service is important.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So if you don't mind, we'll just start with that question again. If you would tell us, we have two viewers, and I'm sure others would tap in, who you are and what your business is about.
Okay. To and I don't see him, so I just say hello to whomever happens to be watching. I'm John Carter. I am the CEO of Third JC Enterprises, which is a creative marketing organization. We specialize mostly with branding, web design. We have done social media management and training opportunities. Given I have a educational background, that's always going to be a component that's part of Third JC. We also offer government contracting opportunities. Well, I actually am contracting on the government contracting end of things, so it is a relatively new offering. But our bread and butter has always been branding, web design, and print graphic design.
Okay. And the branding is what? Can you explain what is branding for us who don't know what that is?
Branding would just, in layman's terms, branding would be your logo design, your print materials, all of the actual materials that center around the identity of your organization and how to adequately market it to your audience. In my case, that would be the if you don't actually have that, the logo, uh, setting up the sheet for the color scheme, helping you with print marketing materials, consults, and just being able to pick your brain on those things. For me, I've done a great deal of my business over the years has been with smaller businesses, and although that's not the audience I stay with per se, I've found that
Mm-hmm.
working with them has given me a lot more of a understanding and appreciation for being very hands-on and connected with the client, because sometimes you have individuals that know exactly what it is that they want, and
Mm.
then a lot of times you have those clients that have an inkling of what it is, and then you have the ones on the extreme case. They may have like one asset, one media asset, and then you're helping them really formulate and frame all of their business identity around that. And typically that's usually the logo. If I have a
Okay.
client that does anything, they'll have the logo and not much else.
Oh, this is so cool to know that you're able to do these things.
Oh, you'd be surprised how much that happens. But I've I enjoy that because I really do. And if you've ever looked at the marketing on my website, you'll see a lot of reference to the word relationship, and that's one thing that I've learned over the time is that the best creative solutions that have been created for a client have been when there was a relationship, a strong enough relationship where I could really get in there and understand what that client's brand is just as well as they do. And if you're creating a lot of their materials, it's easy to do that. And if you're not, then you have to have a lot of communication with that person so that you can do that. Because
Mm.
ultimately, you're not going to get the best. the best branding out of the designer and the client if there's not that two-way communication, so that you can explain to me where you're going, or I can help you to pull that up out, because I've had different I've had something on different gamuts of the spectrum on both cases. I have clients that I
Mm,
still work with that are like that on both ends.
wow. That's very interesting. So now knowing that you're in business and
Mhm.
you have the ability to create branding for a person, whether they know exactly what they want or they don't know exactly what they want, how important is branding for a company?
Well, actually, it is the main thing. I mean, when you talk to individuals, you depending on where they are in their creative career, you might get a lot more buzzwords. I've learned really quickly that to move away from the industry jargon. I use
Mm,
branding because most people, for the most part, understand that. I just tell them it's your business identity, and how important it is it's huge, because it's the first thing that people see, and the one thing that endures even when they're not sitting there talking to you. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where there are brands, and we talk about other people's brands. I mean, you think about the places you go, the people you patronize, the restaurants you
mm,
go to, the products you buy. A lot of times they have seared into you until you've gotten really familiar with their product or service, their identity, their catchphrases, their slogans, their color scheme, their the graphic rendition of their logo. These things get seared into your brain to the degree that when you think of that particular product or service, this is what you think of.
mm.
The best example of that is McDonald's. It has gotten to the degree where they don't even have to put the sign out. If you put those arches out,
They really don't.
yeah. And that
Mm,
is the idea. Is once you get to a degree where when you see that imagery, even if you don't see every specific aspect that is associated with that brand or that logo, that automatically your brain puts the pieces together. You know exactly when you see those arches, you thinking burgers, you thinking McDonald's. You don't have to see all the rest of that, and the best branding will actually help you to do that. It happens over time, but it is a lot of work that goes into that, and both the
mm.
designer and the owner have to have that two-way communication, so that you're strategic about what it is that you're doing and how it is that they're looking at that, so that it remains consistent even when they're not seeing all of the aspects of it. Like right now, I'm looking at your watermark in your in the image right above my head.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that logo. I've only seen it a couple of times. I love that logo, and over time, you would like to get to. I would love to see you get to a point where, even if they don't see the words, if they see the young lady sipping on that tea, they will be able to
Oh,
put the pieces together. And
yeah.
over time, once your audience gets so familiar with your brand, it gets to the point where you can pull aspects away from it, and they automatically know exactly who it is and what it is that you do.
I love that idea and that thought. I would love to get there too. Yeah, because sometimes even when I'm using, I notice when I'm using my logo, sometimes if I'm trying to get it all captured in one place, I can't. So I have to slide up or down and just use the Danny T part, or either slide it down and just use the face, because the picture is always never fitting inside when I'm trying to use it. So that would be cool to even separate it
Yeah,
and
we don't
use
have
it
to.
separate.
Yeah, I hear a consultation in your future.
Yes. I'm gonna have to reach out so you can help me out. And I did. I
Yeah.
took a look. I have your website pulled up on my computer, and it looks so very nice. And you created that?
Yes, yes. I I'm learning I'm learning as you progress, you learn different things to retool your thinking, and I throw that in there. I've always been rather nitpicky with certain aspects of my marketing, where I was like, well, I'm this is what I do. I should be doing this, but as I started adding services to my wheelhouse, I started learning something that one of my mentors told me, and then we're talking about you basically getting to a point where you're running the business and not always in the process in the trenches working on every specific aspect. So some things you may end up having to pawn out, and eventually I want to get to a point where I have a designer that has that same relationship with me that I see in
Yeah.
clients, so that some of those things I would pawn off to them, because right now I'm the like many of us, I'm doing everything. So I do the
Okay.
websites, but I want to have, so I can expand my market base. I want to expand it so that I find a designer that does the designs around my style, so that I can pass off some of those things to them, and then work more on actually soliciting more business. But
Okay.
I do the I do my stuff mostly because I have to, but it's still a labor of love. I mean, I do this because I love doing this. But
Mm. And this is something you can do even if you weren't getting paid. I've had people ask me the question in business, what would you do for yourself even if it wasn't something that you were getting paid for?
I hear, it's interesting you said that. I told myself a long time ago, I was working for a shelter for runaways called Interlink back home, and
Mm.
back then this was 2005. So, and I told myself, even then, I said that I would do this if I was pushing a broom as my 9 to 5. I'd find
Mm.
some way to create something for someone. And ironically enough, when I was there, I was actually doing little designs for putting together the letterhead, the paperwork for the forms that we use, because we just the our office personnel just use Microsoft Word forms, put stuff together to collect the data. And me, I'm looking at it like, man, I love y'all logo on your letterhead. Why don't y'all use this on your branding? So I'm putting together a little letterhead, so trying to make it
Mm.
pretty. And that's when I realized that, if I was pushing a broom, I'd be designing the broom. That's just me.
Okay.
I find a way to make my broom real colorful and fancy, creatively
Yeah,
expressed. That's what I'm gonna do it from, as long as I can do it. But
that's
if I can make
awesome. So
money,
you
why not?
mentioned, I'm sorry. You mentioned before we had to restart our live where you how you learned how to do this. Did you go to school or you self made?
A little of both. I've I'm 1 degree shy of being a career learner, but I've been every time that I've been in a situation where I wasn't in a class and there was something that I needed to learn that I could not learn, I found a workaround. Like, for example, when I was in college, you use the Adobe products, you use Illustrator, you use Photoshop, use Acrobat, or whatever the software was for whatever task that you had to do. You use the industry staples, because all you had to do is go across campus and get in the computer lab and use it. Once you're out of
Mm-hmm.
school, if you can't afford that software at home, you don't have that. So you go find a
Okay.
workaround. You find an open source
Mm-hmm.
software. You find something that came with the laptop computer. It's, those of us who have ever spent time in the hood, we just call it hustling. But that, for me, that's
Right.
what it was. I didn't have a software, so I started learning to use other softwares that weren't the ones that I was in college. What it does
Mhm.
is teaching you that word we were talking about before. It teaches you how to pivot. You still
Mhm.
able to create regardless of what software or what resource you're using. The ultimate goal is to create a solution for the communication for that client and make the job happen.
Right.
I like to be using brand XYZ, but if I ain't got it, I still have to solve that problem for that client. So, and
Mhm.
they at the end of the day, their happiness is what's going to continue to get me business, and that's what it comes down to.
Right.
Making us making sure the solution takes place.
Right. Now I went to creative school too. I went to the Art Institute of Charlotte to obtain my culinary degree, and they
Nice.
do give you the top of the line equipment at school, the best computers, the best programs.
Uh,
And then when you get home, you don't have none of that stuff. So,
man,
like my family,
yes.
they're always after me as far as why don't you cook? I have not prepared any of the things that I've learned at school since I've graduated, and I graduated in 2008 because I don't have that stuff here at home. I've
Hmm.
been able to create some very phenomenal dishes, but I don't have that stuff here at home, and I cannot afford that.
Yeah, but
They
you
spoiled us at
learn how to
school.
pivot. Yeah, you learn how to pivot really easily. I think that's the
Hmm.
best thing you get from having your environment change so drastically
Yeah.
from the educational arena into the real world, because it teaches you to adapt. Because when you get out there, you don't always have that top of the line tools, but you still
Right.
have a challenge, and you still have the responsibility of creating a solution for said challenge. And if you're actually doing that for pay, ain't nobody trying to hear
Hmm.
that, well, I ain't got the top of the line resources. I don't have this
No,
software.
they don't want to hear that. They just
They're
want
not
a
trying to hear
product. They don't
that.
want to hear that. They want the
Nope,
product and they want it
not at
now.
all.
And they want it
Not at
right
all.
and perfect. Are you going to have to assume the responsibility of that financial cost?
Yes, yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I know, like, even for me now, working in this tea business, I want to take my time. I'm not rushing. I don't care how people try to rush me. I want to make sure when I execute my work that it's presentable because we know that presentation is everything.
Yes.
But I'm okay with people coming along and watching me as I perfect what it is I'm trying to do. But when it's time to get that dollar, I'm not going to come playing. I'm going to ignite fire up under that kettle
Yeah.
so we can
I,
make
hot your
money.
kettle. Is that what you say? Is that what you
That's
say?
right.
Hot your kettle?
That's right. That fire is going to be up under that kettle, just like if we was outside, on the outside in the yard doing marshmallows, the
Hmm.
s'mores.
Yes.
That fire is coming. Okay, it's coming. Hi,
Yeah.
Yolanda. I'm reading the comments. How you doing? Do you have any questions for Mr. Carter so far?
But while they're deciding if they want to say anything, I like that. I love that shirt on you though. That's cool.
Oh yes,
I
this
don't
is
even
a
have
shirt
that one.
from Mr. Carter. Stand where they can see it, and it reads "Tea Leaves Infused Genius." So, thank you,
Yeah, I
and
said
you can order it.
you gonna get me on the tea leaf a little bit more on the tea leaves. I have the coffee fuel genius. I should have just put that one on too. So, but
Yeah, that would have been so
yeah.
cool because we do have sippers in our lounge that do not drink tea. I was so proud of one of my friends here, Natasha. Last week we went live. We are doing a business collab,
Hmm.
and she told me a while ago, "I'm not drinking that grass water."
It's some good stuff.
And
That's some good tea.
right, she said she ain't drinking that grass water, but I was so proud of her because her husband made her a cup of tea, and she was actually drinking it. So that was cool.
That's funny though, because we drink it. Y'all drinking grass water. We drinking bean water.
Exactly. I said, now which one is best now? Which one is best for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, that actually the the grass water is best for your wellness.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I stay receptive to that. I love my green tea, but what I found out is I love the herbal teas, and lately
Mm.
I've been drinking a lot more of the chamomile tea toward the evening, the end of the evening.
Okay.
But I've never been um, I've never had a point where I've not been receptive to tea. I've just been drinking coffee much longer, but
Yeah.
a good flavor tea. It does have a relaxing, calming effect. So I will be wearing the tea leaf infused genius. I just don't have that because you actually have a shirt of mine that I don't have. So
That's what's up. That's a good way to show
yeah,
support. And
yeah.
today I am having my newest tea. It's um it's a bridal and friendship tea. You know, the bride is always looking for something blue. And
Oh, okay.
blue also represents some some profound things for friendship. So I'm gonna just pour some here so you can see it.
Now, I've never seen a blue tea. See, you gonna school me a little bit on this because all I know black tea, I know brown tea, I know green tea. I didn't really know that anything else. Up until this recently, I didn't know that there was any other colors coming out of these leaves.
Yeah, I'm so excited. My first tea is red. That's a happy tea. And this one, I told my person, my tea expert who makes my teas for me, who does the custom blends, I need something blue. And she came up with the perfect blend. It has the butterfly pea flower is what gives it that blue color, and it
Hmm.
has green tea in there and pomegranate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so and it tastes really really good.
Yeah.
So we have a question for you. Yolanda is asking, how did you decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Um, it was a combination of desire and necessity. And I say necessity very loosely, because I've always been working. Um, I've had instances where I wanted to do the work. I've always wanted to do the work, the creative work, the design, the graphic design, because I when I realized I had the talent and the desire, I wanted to do the work. But then originally I was envisioning working for someone else. I just wanted to do the work. I just want to do my creative work and get it seen and be compensated for it. But over time, I started to realize that a lot of the people that were doing that I was working for, they weren't stupid. They weren't incompetent or nothing like that. They just weren't. It wasn't anything that they were doing that I couldn't do for myself. And then more and
Mm-hmm.
more, I start realizing I was like, well, why can't I do this? And it took a while for me to get to the point where I really made the leap to take this seriously. But it was one of those things that just never went away. You work your job, you go out there, life gets in the way, and you make your pivots. But I'm a man of faith, and I believe that when God puts something on you, you can run around and deviate and run around the block and up the road a little bit, but you're going to get to a point where it comes right back to what he put on your spirit. And that was one of the
Mm-hmm.
things, because this has been on my heart for years. And this just became the season where I decided to just dive into the pool. Now I'm still working
Mm-hmm.
for someone else for this particular season, but they are funding my business until
Wow.
my business will fund itself. So that's how I
That
look at
is awesome. That is so nice. That is so nice that you have that ability and that someone believed in you enough to say, hey, I want to be a part of the finance, to be a part of your investment. And that
it.
is
Oh,
so cool.
Yeah, well, I and don't get it misconstrued. When I say that, I was speaking in terms of my 9 to 5. I don't have a financer. I know that's not
Okay.
the term, but that would be wonderful. I
Wouldn't
would,
it?
but right now, my finances as my 9 to 5. So that keeps the
Okay.
lights on, and that continues to provide the stability for me to continue to push the dreams forward. And I believe God is He's not going to give that to me without giving me the provision to do it. So
Hmm.
I've been kind of ducking and dodging and holding off on that for a long time and wasted a lot
Hmm.
of time. So now that I am here, I'm going to do what I can to make it happen. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I'm hearing that you are working a 9 to 5 as well as having your own company on the side.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And do you have a set time or a set goal that you're going to work your 9 to 5 before you can fully let that go and fully operate in your side hustle?
I do, and I say that very reluctantly because one of the things what I've made peace with is that plans change, and it's not the end
Hmm.
of the world. Because
Right.
ultimately I in my mind with I was expected to be doing this exclusively years ago.
Okay.
But if you sit and languish over the things that you should have done at timeline XYZ, you will get discouraged and you will put your toys up on the shelf and go sit down and watch TV somewhere.
Right.
And that's if you're really serious about this, that's a luxury that you really cannot afford. And for me,
That's true.
I I know that's what I want to do. I have made some significant strides to continue to keep me motivated. I've had some hiccups and I've had some disappointments. However, whining about what should have happened or what I think should have happened at such and such time frame is a luxury I can't afford. And I say that to say that I have a rough timeline, but that has everything to do with the motivation I put into this, the work I put into this, the profits
Hmm.
that come forth, and of course, what X factors come up that I have no real control over. Because I still do believe that it's going to happen on God's time, and I have to hang my hat on that because everything that I've seen has taught me that that is the case.
That's fair. That's some good information. If any of you ladies who are watching and you have questions, feel free to comment below. Before you comment, if you have not already given permission, go out of the live, click on the StreamYard link so it can get permission for us to see your name. And we'll be glad to take a few questions.
Thank you,
So,
Yolanda. Give me
and
something to
thank you,
talk about.
Linda. You're welcome to come on and speak to Mr. John if you want. You're welcome to come on and speak to him. Just let me know and I'll send you the link. So can you
Absolutely.
design a website based on someone's budget?
Uh yes. I don't and I know that sounds reluctant. Let me go on and clarify that. I
Hmm.
have I have done that before. I don't do it very often, mainly because we families, so I'm gonna be 100% transparent because I owe my clients and my potential clients and other entrepreneurs that candor. One of the things that I've had a real difficulty with some of my clients is that sometimes when I pull away from pay off presenting my price point for what I am worth and what my work is worth, and then
Mhm.
working around those that price point, it doesn't change what that client's expectations are. It just changes my
Okay.
price point. And then
Right.
sometimes I would have individuals where I would I would give them a price point that is incredibly reduced, but it doesn't reduce the workload. It just reduces
Mm.
my profit point. Perfect example. This past 2 weeks ago, I did a promotional that for a 3 pager and a 5 pager. It's a package I call the fast start package. It's 3 pager, and the jump start package is 3 pager. And either one of them, the price point that I charge for that particular weekend, I sent it out to my email list and everything. This is there's about, I can't remember the exact pricing, but there was at least 400 or $500 less than what my pricing is.
Oh
And
wow.
I don't have a problem with revisiting that package. I just have to
Mhm.
make sure that I have to do stipulations with that when I work around the client's budget. Like for instance, the content that I need from that client, I need to have that client really up on their stuff. If I'm working around your budget, I definitely need you to come with your content. I need you to have a
Mhm.
solid idea of where you want to go with this. Because if we're working around a budget and there's a significantly reduced price point to accommodate your budget,
Mhm.
I need to know you ready to roll, and I need to know that you're serious about where it is that you're trying to go with this. I do those things because I am an entrepreneur that's still how they say getting it in the mud, get it out the mud. Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
get it. I understand it, and my heart is always going to be mindful of those entrepreneurs out here trying to make those things happen. And I
Yeah.
tend to work on that by case basis, but I have to have some level of understanding that this client is going to come with whatever they need to move this forward. Because if I'm taking a significant price point reduction to make something happen, or at least give you a website starter that you can move forward with and upgrade as you need to, then I
Mhm.
need to know that I can move this project forward
Mhm.
and then move on to the other projects if you're not going to continue to work with me, because it doesn't make sense. And once again, we're being very transparent. Um, it doesn't make sense as an entrepreneur to reduce my price points so significantly and then have a project that I'm continuously working on for weeks at a time
Right.
and taking time away from clients who will willingly come in and pay the full price point.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I I I have that desire to work with those clients ongoing because of one of the things I found out. I'm a creative at my core. I'm a creative. I started out drawing, so
Mhm.
this really is my thing. And I've learned that the best work that I've created has come from those clients that I have that level of familiarity with, almost to the degree that they do. And that only comes from an ongoing exposure and interaction with them, relationship. And you're I tell my clients, and I tell any client, whether they're mine or not, if you can do that, find a
Mhm.
designer that you can establish and maintain an ongoing relationship with, because it does a serious harm and detriment to your brand to continue to recycle and rotate out in and out designers to create
Mhm.
stuff, because every creative is
Right.
going to have a certain level of interpretation of your brand, even if that you giving them the same materials. there's a good chance that that designer is going to interpret what you're looking for differently than the person that you had before. And essentially, it's
Right.
akin to having someone come in and reformat and refurbish your brand and your vision
Hmm.
every time. And you
So
always
it's good to pick one person for your web designer or one company and
if
work with them throughout the time that you have your business operating.
if you can. Now, if you can't
If you
do that,
can.
then I would encourage you to try very hard to have a strong relationship between those people that handle those separate parts. Because
Hmm.
if you don't have the financial bandwidth or the relationship with those particular people, where if you got Johnny over here doing your social media, Janet over here doing your website, and Jane doing your print marketing. If they are not part of the same under the same umbrella, working with the same company, then for your brand, you got to find some way to make sure that they play nice in the sandbox for the benefit of your brand. Because remember,
Absolutely.
they actually have all of your media assets, but they're all going to interpret them how their creative vision sees it. Because every artist is
Right.
going to do it a different way. You get,
Right.
I, you when I was in college, we used to sit in front of in the easel and sketch. They'd have a still life.
Oh, cool.
I'm that type of artist.
I
We
like
have
that.
still life. We sit in front of the still life, and everybody's sketching the fruit or the trees or the model, whatever it is that we're looking at. Everybody's doing it, but we're all doing it. We're doing the exact same material, but we're all doing it based on how our vision sees it. So there's
Okay.
little nuances that will never be similar to every person. And that particular point says that you're going to always have some deviations in your brand when you got multiple people working on it that aren't under the same umbrella. Now that's cool if you're doing fine art, but if you're doing a brand or the identity of a business, that
Mm.
can be harmful because ultimately you want to create something that people are going to instantly recognize consistently all the time whenever they see that. And that doesn't
Yeah.
happen. You got multiple different versions of it, unless there's a very, very, very good reason for those multiple versions. You got to have a
Okay.
marketing campaign that might justify that, but ultimately your brand can't deviate like that.
Hmm.
Got to be
That makes
consistent.
perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And we don't want to take advantage of people, you know. I've heard people over time say how clients have, taken advantage of their skill and not want to pay for what they have received. And this stuff takes a lot of work because I would say on working on a computer is tedious work.
yeah,
So you don't want to take advantage of anyone for anything they're doing in
yeah,
any business.
yeah. And I never really, and when I say that just to be forthright, but I never say that as from a sense of bitterness or malice. But I do find that ultimately we're people, and as we do things, we want to do things in a spirit of excellence. But if we can do something in the spirit of excellence and save money doing it, what are you gonna do it? I mean, and
Right.
that's a no brainer. However, I mean, you can't expect as an entrepreneur to pay to be paid what you are worth and what your price points that you've established mandate if you are not willing to do that for others. And there are almost genius level talents that I can't wait to have assist me, not in my brand, in places like um, virtual assistant and mentors, coaches, accountants. You name it. But some of them I can't afford their price point now. So what I
Right.
do is I keep them on speed dial and I keep them nearby when
Yeah.
I am able to afford them. And I don't mind telling them, say, it ain't that I don't want to pay your price point. I genuinely don't have it.
Right.
So, but I'm not going to ask you to give me the hookup. I'm going to wait
Right.
until, or I'm going to find a way to
Exactly.
make a sacrifice because I know I need your services. It's certain people.
Absolutely.
I want you to do this because I know you
Right.
are the best that I've seen. So
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
wait till you do that. And if they're
Yeah.
willing to work with me, then we'll make something happen. If they want discount or throw a payment plan together or something like that, then I have to wait or I have to double back when I have my chips right. It is what it is.
Absolutely. It
That's
is what it
listen,
is. Sometimes I've in the past I've asked those who I know have the skill because I have an eye for perfection. Even if I can't do it, I know how I want it to look. And if I can't afford it at that time, sometimes I might say, "Well, can we work on a payment plan? I would like to pay some money along the way, and then
I
once
do
I
that.
have it paid, then let's move forward. But just give me a chance to build that, build it up, so I can, actually pay for that service." And
I
I've
see
found a
you,
lot of
Yolanda.
people that were willing to work with me on that.
Yeah, and I do. I see you, Yolanda. I'll answer that in just a sec. I was just, and I have no problem with a payment plan, because especially if it's a website, because if I do your website, I'm not releasing it anyway till I get my money.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you can see it. You can see it and give me all the feedback you want. But I'll work on a payment plan because honestly, what that still does is it gives you an opportunity. I mean, in the process of doing that, it gives you an opportunity to really continuously understand who that entrepreneur is, what
Yeah.
she. I say she because my business avatar is women. See,
Okay.
that's where the great majority of my clients are. So it's serendipity that I find myself in this room because that is
Mm-hmm.
my that is my business avatar. But um, that time, if you utilize it properly, it's very valuable because you really do get to know what that business is, what that person envisions it to be, how they want to do it going forward, and just allow people to brainstorm about what they envision their business to be. Give them time to talk about it. They'll give you some nuggets that you can really work from as you sit there and help them form their identity. Just
Yeah.
yeah, just that
Absolutely.
communication, that relationship.
Yeah. And building that trust through that business collab with one another is awesome. That goes for good word of mouth advertisement for you and for them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Because most people want to be they want to be listened to. I mean, they want to be listened to. They want someone to be as vested in their brand as
Mm-hmm.
they are. And I've had that discussion many times. That's what you want. I mean, it'll no one. Your brand is your baby, or your other baby if you got kids,
Yeah.
and no one's going to you want them to take your brand as seriously as you do or as close to seriously as you do. Not they'll never be able to take it as seriously as you do, but you want
Right.
them to take it as seriously as they possibly can because that's going
Mm-hmm.
to generate the best possibility of the execution that you're looking for. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Yolanda
So
said
we'll
how.
take this question from Yolanda.
Mhm.
How do you share your time on working on your business versus working in your business?
um it ain't easy.
That's a good question.
I will say this, because and especially for those of us who are hybridpreneurs. My contracting mentor, she calls it hybridpreneurs, and that's basically those who work for someone else and work on their business. I have found that I have to put a actual schedule together, a literal physical schedule together now, And
Mm-hmm.
I've never really done that before, but I'm finding that's the only way to make sense of it. Like I'll write it out and tack it up somewhere in the house at such and such day, such and such time. I got this going on. This time,
Mm-hmm.
this got it going on. And especially now, because I'm a dad too, so I'm having I write it out. Look, I've gotten real anal with it. Like, see,
Right.
it's 9 o'clock. From 9 o'clock to 9:45, I'm getting John together. We're transporting him to school. And this particular time, I'm reviewing emails. This particular time, I'm reaching out to potential clients or sending invoices or whatever I happen to be doing at that time. Lunchtime, this whatever it is. If you have to tweak it, you tweak it. But you have to have some type of framework to know where you are before you go anywhere else. And if you have to adjust it, adjust it. But once you know how your days pan out, there's some things that are consistent. Other stuff, life gets in the way, and you might have
Mm-hmm.
to adjust and pinch from one schedule, one time frame, and put it on another time frame. But you got to have something to work with. And one of my, I just did a webinar on work life balance, and that's one of the things she was actually talking about. Actually, everybody
Mm-hmm.
that talks about work life balance, that's the one thing they have consistent is you have to have some type of schedule fleshed out, even if you have to tweak it along the way to accommodate changes that are consistent in the schedule that you might have to accommodate for. But write something down and tweak it and then adjust it as things are mandated.
That makes sense. To write it down and make it plain, right?
There
Write
you
it
go.
down and make it
That
plain.
part. That part. Because
So
it's
we.
as I'm sitting there looking at it, I looking at it a few feet away. I got to write it down. I got to adjust it now because I've learned that there are some things in my schedule that I have to account for that my original schedule didn't account for that might make it easier for me to work on it as opposed to just working in it. And you got to do that when you're the only person running the show, when you handling the creative, you handling the accounting, the business, the distribution, the
Mhm.
invoicing, when you everybody
Yeah.
you the CEO and the staffing team, you gotta write down the list. You got to.
Mm-hmm.
No
Mm-hmm.
choice.
Absolutely. So we've had you on almost an hour. I don't want to overextend our time with you. So I know that you're connected to one of our sipping sisters here, Renee. And I don't know if you want to tell the people some information. We have been talking about dating in the Sipper Lounge. We've been talking about a little bit of everything, effective communication. Um, so, do you have anything on your heart and your soul and mind that you would like to share with the ladies pertaining those things before we close out today?
Well, yeah. Well, without going too deep into the weeds about my about Renee and I will say that one thing that we've actually connected very strongly on is working together as a team, both personally and professionally. She is an entrepreneur as well, so that I I look go out of my way to plug my talent into what she does, and she I into what I do. Actually, one of the things that
Mm-hmm.
have to sing her praises on this is she actually has a webinar that she does for an organization that that actually has learners. It's a learning webinar for business, and it has participants in 9 different locations in the Caribbean islands. So
Oh,
she's
wow.
actually been working with them through Third JC Enterprises. So when she works with them, she works as a contractor through Third JC Enterprises. The beauty of that is number one, it gives me an opportunity to be introduced to a brand in a location I've never been in, So I've actually done
Okay.
business in areas in the Caribbean islands that I've never been to. And then at the same time, it establishes my brand in front of people who I have not been with.
Mm,
And so she's been very much, and I've actually brought her in as she contracts through Third JC all the time. In addition, I handle her social. Well, I assist her in handling her social media for the Arc Institute. And whenever she's ready, I'm gonna hook her website up, and I'm gonna work on the branding and such with her. So we actually are going to have to retweak the schedule whenever she gets situated, so that there'll be times where I'll have to that'll be allocated toward Third JC, and then there'll be times that'll be
mm,
allocated toward ARC. And like Yolanda was talking about before, that scheduling is going to have to be tweaked for that as well. But
mm,
I'm working on her stuff. She's working on my stuff, but we need to make sure that both of them get as much time as possible so that they can grow at the pace that they're designed to grow. And
mm.
that's actually where we're going with that.
That
But
is amazing, and I loved seeing her picture on your website. I thought that was the most coolest thing ever.
I
I was
know
like, this is really, really nice.
that
Really
tickled
nice
me.
here.
Yeah, that tickled me. I had to do that. She thought it was hilarious though.
It is so nice just to see that you all are growing together as a couple and you're working together. It shows me a different side of what it looks like when you find your power mate. John and I, as well as Renee and some other sisters in the Sipping Lounge, connect outside of here in our PowerMate group. And I'll be happy to share that information in the group for you ladies if you're interested in joining. Yolanda is also a PowerMate member also. And so that is just cool to see that, a lot of us have felt like there's still, no good men out here. And my connection with you has been for a short time, but I felt good to ask you to find a way of supporting a man through your motivation that you share on a regular basis. Like, thank you so much for being a man of motivation, being a man led by Christ. And
Thank you.
I'm very, very grateful for that.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
Yolanda says power mate in training.
you.
That's right. We're
That's
power
what's
mates
up.
in training. And
Yes, as we all are.
our
We
leaders,
all are.
they're phenomenal people to follow. And I have to say that John and Renee are also a phenomenal couple to mimic when it comes to building healthy, loving relationships. I love what I see so far. And any final sip tips that you would like to give?
Um, well, the best thing I would say, as it relates to the work that I do with the JC Enterprises, I would suggest that you would, if there's anyone that is in the group that is interested in just having a conversation with regards to their business and the creative direction that they're going in, that I can assist with, just drop in on thirdjcenterprises.com and um, shoot me an email so we can actually chat a little bit. I'm not charging for a consultation. It's just us to having an opportunity to chat a little bit to see what your needs are and how I could assist, and then we go from there.
That sounds good. Sounds good. So I think all hearts and minds are clear. Is there any more questions from the sippers who are watching today?
And if there are that I never see, then feel free to just forward them my way, and then I'll forward the appropriate answers.
Okay. And maybe we'll invite you back at some point. Maybe you might want to do a webinar of some kind and let us know how much that costs. We'll
I
support
love that.
where we
If you
can.
have, as I love that. Let your audience know that if they are doing web design in the Wix platform. I am a Wix partner, so that I do training in that. I actually do have a Facebook page that I call the Deep Dive, the Wix Deep Dive, which basically I go in and I do little brief tutorials and share them in that particular group for those individuals that have their website in that platform, but they're not paying for someone to maintain it. They're doing it themselves. So you can't you can't keep a website and just not make changes to it. I mean, I got to change mine too, but you gotta you gotta keep it fresh, keep it new, keep it moving. And if you're the person making those changes, it might be good to know a little bit more about the interface while you're making those changes.
That makes good sense. What is the name of those groups where the ladies can connect with you?
The Wix, you just go into Facebook and click on and search Wix Deep Dive. I don't think I have that connected to my website, but again,
Okay,
I can definitely make that available to you to share within in your group. For that matter, any of the groups that I'm connected with, I'd be more than happy to share those resources, and you can share them with your ladies, and they can reach out to me as appropriate. I'll just make that information available this afternoon, and you can shoot it to your audience.
okay. Well, thank you, Mr. John. You've been so kind and patient with us. You have shared power packed information about web design, how you started, all the way from how you started to where you are now and where you want to go. So
It's a
I'm
long trip.
pleased. I'm very grateful for your time spent with us today. You are motivational and continue to keep being a motivation to others.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day.
You too.
Well, ladies, that concludes our time, our tea time with Mr. John. And I want you to remember that you are worthy, you're valuable, and you're deserving of God's best. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and saw today. If you have any further questions, just send me an email or comment in the Sippers Lounge. I'm going to make a few posts, and if you're interested in his services, I will post his website so it'll be easy for you to just click and go into it. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.